Welcome to Syncast, powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is Clint Oram. He's the co-founder and chief strategy officer at Sugar. Clint, thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell me a little bit about yourself and Sugar.
You bet. My pleasure to be here today, Heath. So a little bit about me. I've always been in technology. Started off 40 years ago at my dad's knee as he built a software company in the early 1980s. Was doing testing and stuffing envelopes and helping to set up booths at demos at trade shows when I was just in my early teens. And so for me, it was always a matter of not if I'd get into software and start my own company, but when I would do it. And so in 2004, me and a couple other guys left the CRM company we were working at, started SugarCRM, and it's been a fantastic ride ever since. I've been doing everything I can to grow the company. Along the way, I've been chief technology officer, I've been chief marketing officer, and now I'm guiding strategy in terms of alliances and acquisitions.
That's incredible. And I want to turn to an article that you wrote about back in 2017. And as a fellow geek, I loved how you led off with Star Wars. We were just coming off Rogue One. And you were talking about AI before it was like the big thing that it is in the last year and a half. And I was wondering if we could talk about AI and CRM and, how did the things that you wrote about then and what you were predicting would come with, obvious technological advancements and what has come true and where you see AI going next?
Well, for those of us nerds who've been reading sci-fi since we were kids, the idea of there you go, that's us. The idea of harnessing technology to make our lives easier has just been a core theme of science fiction from the beginning. Now, of course, there's some traps that come with that, and if you are a true sci-fi nerd, you recognize that unfettered innovation without applying the humanity to it can be a recipe for disaster. But that's a separate discussion for a separate day. I think the key idea in here is how does technology become that personal assistant? Right. And that's how I've always viewed CRM is I want it to be my own personal assistant, my personal customer assistant, if you will. I want it to tell me something I didn't already know about my customers. I want it to tell me what to do next. And I want it to do the easy things for me. And along the way, if I have to enter data, I will, but with the expectation that I'll get a lot more value out of the CRM system than what I'm putting in. But even in today's age where you can be monitoring everything from email threads to chat threads to conversations like we're having right now, I kind of want that. I want that data entry just to happen in the background, right? I want it to be done for me. So that's always been my vision of what I wanted to do with CRM. And again, likening it back to that personal assistant, that personal agent. And so that's what I've been setting out to do. And so in there, in my career focused on technology, of course, I've been seeing the advent of artificial intelligence for decades. A lot of the algorithms that are getting used today are algorithms that were designed 20, 30, 40 years ago, but we just didn't have enough compute horsepower or data to actually drive those algorithms. And so now we live in a world of the cloud and Internet of Things and just an absolute explosion of customer data. And we've got the horsepower and we've got the data to power the algorithm. So now it's turning into reality.
Absolutely. And, people say, well, why do I need AI? I could do it myself. Well, I think you said it best. You're talking trillions and trillions of terabytes of data if you were to really think about it.
No mere mortal can sift their way through all that data, right?
No,
you need technology to help you out.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the biggest things that you had mentioned in that article was, it's going to take a look at your customer. It's going to see if they have a public profile, those articles that they may write on Medium, right. the Facebook, the tweet, maybe they're tweeting about retweeting something that their company did and add a little message, and how the salesperson, with the help of the AI assistant, can use that to help continue to build that relationship with customers.
Yep. And in there, you're going to see, well, there's just, let me kind of unpack it for a moment. In the world of business to business selling, right? In the world of buying something from another business, we live in a world now where your Google searches from your company get aggregated together. Your researching of topics on different websites gets aggregated together into what's called intent signals. And there's companies out there that aggregate those intent signals and make them available as a package service. You've got data about who you are as an individual, what university you attended, where you've worked in the past. That's readily available as well. You've got information such as when an individual is on a website and researching on a website, and sometimes that's anonymous, but sometimes that gets connected back to an individual. Often when it's anonymous at the personal level, it's not anonymous at the company level. So I'll know what companies are on my website long before I'll know who the person is that's on the website. And all of this data is just swirling around out there right now. And I think probably the most significant innovation in the past 10 years is that we've been instrumenting every step of the customer journey, collecting this data, pulling these signals together. But what's only been happening the last couple of years is they've been turning into tools for again, the mere mortal, right? Tools for that salesperson, that marketer, that customer service person to be able to effectively engage with their customers and prospects. And that's what's just happening in the last couple of years that, frankly, for many of us who've been in the industry, this is the vision that we've had for a decade plus. But now it's happening. The data's there. The solutions to pull that data together are there. And it's fun. It makes the job easier.
Yeah. And it gives you the tools that you need to sell. And like I said, continue to keep those customers happy. I think the old saying is you spend way more money, effort on getting new customers than you do keeping your current customers happy. And I think that's one great thing about CRM is helping maintain that relationship. And where do you see AI tools specifically in CRM going next? I mean, everything that you even said a couple of years ago, I think we were just on that cusp of where we are now.
Yeah.
So where do you see it next? AI tools next.
Well, let me start with a high-level thought. What are the three most important things in real estate?
Location, location, location.
There you go. What are the three most important things in software?
Oh.
Easy.
Yes.
It's gotta be easy. Now, our job as software providers is to balance power with ease, right? How do I bring that really powerful set of technology and algorithms and innovation happening in the background, but present it to the end user in a way that's just easy, just flows right into their day. They don't, remember the days when you actually took training classes for a new software package that came out?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And you say that to a millennial or a Gen Z person and say, oh, yeah, back in my day, we had to take training classes for software. And they look and say, well, that was crappy software. Yeah. It wasn't easy. And I think that's kind of true. Right. Mm-hmm. So if I were to pull that into where AI is going, it's all about making your interaction with the technology easier and easier. So where we're at today, well, in the last 5 to 10 years, has been all about predictive analytics and machine learning, right? So how does the software work its way through tens of millions of rows of data, pull out those patterns, pull out those insights, package them up in a way that you can say, hey, this prospect is very likely to turn into a customer and is very likely, based upon the intent signals, to want to engage with you now in a conversation. Frankly, that's old hat now. That's done. We're doing it every day. Everybody's living it. The next step ahead of us is what we're calling generative AI. And we all know about ChatGPT. And I know for me, it was, late last year, I had a couple of friends saying, hey, have you checked out ChatGPT? It just came out. I haven't gotten to it yet. Like, oh, no, you really need to check this out. And so it was in early December of last year. I sat down and spent an afternoon on a Saturday with ChatGPT, and oh my gosh, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Right? This was that moment of interacting with C3PO or R2D2 or Jarvis from Iron Man. It was the time where you're actually talking to a computer, and you're giving natural language, what we call in the industry natural language queries. You're giving instructions and queries just in normal human language, and the machine is responding back to you with deep insights that blow your mind. And that's definitely the next stage of easy that's coming in front of us. Frankly, I predict the user interface is going to completely change. It's going to go much more towards voice interface than it's ever been. Let me give another analogy here. Do you remember your iPhone? Do you remember your mobile phone back in 2002, 2003?
Yeah. That was my first time I ever, an old Nokia. You probably know what I'm talking about.
The Nokia, right? I had I was a BlackBerry guy. I loved my BlackBerry.
Oh, yeah.
I loved being able to type my emails and see my email on my phone. What a great thing, right? And even this mildly usable little browser on the phone that I could do with, if I squinted, I could get some value out of it.
Yeah.
And those first, and we didn't even call them smartphones at that point because they weren't really smartphones yet.
Yeah, the PDA sort of,
Yeah, PDA, that was the term, personal digital assistant. And fast forward a few years later to 2008, and the first iPhone comes out, and it blows your mind. Blows your mind, right? Because now you can actually really work with this mini computer, and the browser experience is fantastic, and all the apps are fantastic, and you're connected to a network of information and applications and people that just makes your life completely different. Well, think of that 2002 to 2008, that BlackBerry to iPhone, and I describe that. That's what we've gone through with the first generations of Siri, Alexa, the kind of very basic voice interface that, a number of times. How many times have you yelled at Alexa, "Alexa, shut up. Alexa, no, I'm not talking to you right now. Alexa," or you say, "Hey, Alexa, can do this, do that," and Alexa comes back, "I don't know what you're talking about," right? That first generation is not very easy. Well, we're now at that next generation. We're at that iPhone moment where voice interaction with computers is just absolutely transforming the way that we're going to be working with them. And I predict in the next couple of years, we're going to be talking to our computers and giving voice commands as much, if not more, than we're typing on a keyboard or swiping with thumbs.
Yeah, that makes me think of Star Trek. I think it was The Voyage Home, when Scotty was trying to talk to the computer. And he's like holding the mouse, "Computer, hello, computer." And it's like, even I thought back then, and I'm a major sci-fi guy, big Iron Man fan and everything. And even I was like, "Oh yeah, when will that happen?" And here we are. And
here we are.
Yeah. Although I will say, last night I was answering my wife. She asked me a question, and all of a sudden Siri started talking from our HomePod, and we're looking at each other. I'm like, I don't remember saying that. Hey, I don't want to say it, but
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I do think about privacy a lot. I do. I mean, myself, I do not turn on the Hey Siri feature. I force it to do a swipe command, because I just don't like my discussions being always monitored in the background. That's who I am, and I think we've got a lot. The whole privacy versus convenience discussion is not done by any stretch of the imagination. It's something that we're going to have to be diligently focused on. But at the same time, I know my kids, my kids are 18 and 21. Mm-hmm. They don't worry about the privacy topic the way I do. I come back and tell them, you should. But they say, no, I'm good projecting my information out there. So different strokes for different folks, right?
No, I totally agree. And, this morning, I had my questions prepared, my research and everything for our call today. And I saw on LinkedIn that the godfathers of AI, as they call them in quotes, they want to have that layer of the privacy and protection. And I'm with you. And we have two nephews, one who's 20, one who's 19, and they kind of have that same attitude. And I even noticed that where I was when I got my first iPhone, I waited a little bit, even though I'm a almost lifelong Apple guy. I waited to get it, and it was right, I think, when Siri came out. I think that was 2011, and I was very like, oh, about privacy and everything. And then today, I feel like maybe I am a little bit, a little bit more loose about it. But I totally agree with you. And speaking of generative AI and asking questions. I took a little mini course just to learn ChatGPT because it did blow my mind. But then I'm like, maybe I'll just take it was just like a 30-minute webinar. It worked out really good. And I'm sure my nephews probably laugh at me saying, oh, you have to do that. But
like a training class for that.
Yeah, exactly. And the person teaching it said, every now and then you might get a query and you send a query and you get an answer that isn't accurate. And that could be a problem. And I was wondering, as an AI driven company, how can any company, I should say, really ensure that data accuracy? So it's not reading the wrong data about a customer and I'm sitting there talking about the wrong person because of something that maybe the way I typed it in or said it, et cetera.
Well, first thought, of course, is always trust but verify. And if I dig into that a little deeper, keep in mind, at the end of the day, these are just tools. They're tools designed to help humans be more effective and more efficient. They're just a tool. And as such, you can't just blindly trust any one of the tools that you're looking at. This is kind of, for instance, take the analogy back to a tape measure, and you're measuring a room, and you stretch out the tape measure, and you're looking at the number, and you look at the number. Oh, says 15 feet. Well, this is a 12-foot room. Oh, my tape measure bent at the end, and I kept pulling it out, and 15 is not the right number because the tape measure was being applied incorrectly, and I need to fix it. That analogy carries forward. Right. You have to remember that these, in the end, are tools that are designed to give you guidance. These are tools that are designed to help you out. But you always need to be checking at them and looking at them. I've got a friend who's an avid sailor, and he talks about this quite a bit in the world of sailing, that there's all kinds of great new technology coming out. There's always new instruments and new ways of measuring everything from the air pressure to the speed of the water, all these different things. And you'll have some captains who just stare at the instruments and never look up at the horizon. And then they get caught. They get caught with bad weather. They get caught barreling towards some sort of obstacle in front of them. You can't go through life staring at the instruments and not looking up and having situational awareness around you. That's true if you're driving a car. That's true if you're sailing a boat. This is true if you're using artificial intelligence. You got to look up. You got to look at the horizon. You got to look around and see what's going on, and make sure that the guidance that you're being given is truly applicable to the situation that you're in right now. So that's my thought on that.
Awesome. And
you're never going to take away the human factor in there. And if you do, this is where your self-driving car might self-drive itself into a wall, right? That's not what we want.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of pivoting towards sugar and how today is AI being used in sugar. I think you've been pretty much talking about it, but a couple of the more specific tools and uses for sales, marketing, and customer service for companies using sugar.
Well, we've been doing predictive analytics for several years now. So the ability to predict whether or not a lead will convert into an actual deal, and being able to predict if a deal will actually close based upon all the different signals. We've been doing that for several years now. That's been part of our application suite for at least 3 or 4 years. Where we're investing right now, and the set of announcements that we've actually just made in the last couple of weeks are about what we're doing with generative AI ahead of us. And a few of the use cases are fairly obvious. Help me write emails. Help me create landing pages for marketing campaigns. Where we've always kind of been in the past is the human needs to generate that content. Well, in today's world, I want that content that, for instance, that goes into my landing page for a marketing campaign. I want that content to be SEO optimized. I want that content to reflect my brand spot on. I want that content to leverage my messaging and positioning without any extra effort. And with a click of the button, we can auto-generate content that is SEO optimized, that is brand appropriate, that is spot on with your positioning, without having to do any extra work on the person from the person to think it up themselves. Now they'll want to review it to make sure it's accurate and reflects the tone that they actually want to have in the end. But that's one aspect of what we're doing. But the really exciting piece ahead of us, I got to tell you, Heath, is changing that user interface. So today, Sugar as an application, all business applications require you to know how to navigate a menu structure. Now, search, of course, allows you to keyword search allows you to jump past that menu structure. Mm-hmm. But what we're looking here ahead of us is being able to ask questions like, show me my most valuable customers in the United States. Boom. Break that down by industry, break that down by customer size and industry. Wow. And just ask the application to do those things where you're not just searching for data, you're actually giving an instruction to the application. It's interpreting that instruction and giving you that exact information that you're looking for. Or, hey, update the opportunity I was just in a meeting about and set it to closed won because the customer is buying from us, right? Oh, do you mean that the opportunity? Look at the calendar. Do you mean this opportunity here? Yes, I do. Setting it to closed won. Thank you very much. That's the kind of user interface that's coming ahead of us. And this is sci-fi. This is reality. It is. Technology being applied right now. This is practical reality that we're kind of at that front end of the iPhone, right? And imagine look where we are today compared to where we were in 2008. That's the kind of innovation coming ahead of us.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm envisioning like Tom Cruise in Minority Report, only it's his deals that he's got, where is he at and everything.
So now you're talking about augmented reality combined with generative AI. That's truly the next. Really? I mean, this is so you can kind of, you were mentioning to me before that you're a Marvel fan and Tony Stark and Iron Man, all those different moments that we've seen Tony Stark in his workshop with an augmented reality interface in front of him, where he's doing the swipes, he's doing he's saying, Jarvis, isolate the data down to this particular one variable. That's the kind of user interface coming ahead of us. Augmented reality, I think, is it's just not getting quite the same focus and attention that generative AI is right now, but augmented reality is around the corner. It's still kind of a bit in the science fiction space, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But what is very real is that conversational interface with the computer, and that's cool. That's very exciting.
Yeah, that's incredible. Before I started working with Commercient, I actually have a pretty heavy background in not only filmmaking, independent, mostly video production, but also the technology behind it. So for many years, going back to Avid and Adobe Premiere, and then Apple put out Final Cut Pro in '99, I would test all of these apps and I'd look at the UI and I would always say, is this a software that will, in my mind, get out of my way and let me get my work done? Or am I going to be sitting there and typing and doing this and that? And I know that Final Cut relaunched in 2011. It was a little bit controversial, but to me, it was even easier for me to use. And I'm in marketing, but if I were in sales or in marketing and I'm using Sugar, I want that software to not only help me, but again, and this is just my own phrasing, kind of get out of my way in the sense that I'm not sitting there trying to go through and figure out the UI.
Well, this is that classic paradox for all engineers, all software developers: power versus ease of use, right?
Yes.
Sophistication versus easy. This is for those of us that have been watching the laptop computer desktop industry for the last 20, 30 years. That's kind of been that classic tension between the Mac user interface and the Windows user interface. And the Windows user interface, you'll surface up every single control point, every right-click menu, every dial that you can imagine. And the Mac has always approached it with, what's the most common approach? I might give you one or two different points where you can turn a dial, but for the most part, I'm going to design it in a way that just makes it simple for you. And I think I know as a developer myself, and I know with our own engineering team, that's not an easy answer to come up with, right? Because as an engineer, you see the point, you could put these dials in, you could put these switches in, you could put these control points in. Somebody might want to take the software over here, and then the user experience person comes in and says, no, make it easier, slim it down. What's the common case? Remember, what's the goal that the person's trying to achieve with the software? How do we make that goal easy to discover and easy to accomplish? Those are the things that we're talking about every single day here at Sugar with our UX team. We have a fantastic UX team, one of the best, the best I've ever worked with, and absolutely one of the best in the entire business applications industry, and in my opinion, the absolute best in the CRM industry. And that focus on the user experience and going a step beyond the engineer who designs everything that's possible to the user experience designer who's thinking about what's most appropriate and important, right? And that's where a good software team comes together.
Yeah, that's incredible. And with the rise of no-code, low-code platforms, how does Sugar adapt the business model and services to remain competitive and on the cutting edge?
Well, that's a very insightful question to Sugar as a company, because that's been part of our journey. 20 years ago, when I started the company, we started it around open source. We actually talk about delivering every control point, right? Every dial, every switch. We put the source code in front of customers and said, "Hey, there's the source code, and if you want to take the Sugar application over there, be my guest." And that was appropriate for the time in 2004 when there was a real backlash to enterprise software companies that weren't building great software and they weren't maintaining it very well, and having to wait for a software vendor to fix a bug was agonizingly painful back in those days. And then, of course, you fast forward, and here's the practical reality for SugarCRM as a company is that in terms of putting control back in the hands of the customer of the software, you had two technology initiatives or waves happening. You had the cloud and you had open source. And cloud won. Why did they win? Easy.
Yeah.
And open source folded into being the technology that powers the cloud. And so we had to make a pivot as a company. We had to go from being an open source company that did CRM to a CRM company that did open source, to just being a CRM cloud company that's driving innovation. And along the way, we invested heavily in building those low code, no code tools, going back and interviewing our customers and looking at how our customers were leveraging the source code that we're giving them, but what were the most common patterns coming out of that? And now let's turn those into tools that people can just point and click at. So that's a bit of our own journey here at SugarCRM, from being that highly technical CRM tool to being that tool that's designed for sales ops, for marketing ops, for service ops, for the people, for the sellers and marketers and service agents, as opposed to being the tool that was really designed for the IT developer initially.
Awesome. And we talked about a lot of great things, AI, Sugar, just a lot of great stuff. I was just curious, when a business gets a new CRM and they look to you for software to integrate their CRM, and it could be anything, because I know there's a lot of different apps that could be LinkedIn. If somebody's just like, I love Outlook too much, I don't want to let that go. How do you evaluate and recommend third-party software to your customers?
A few different ways. So first off, every CRM system is always integrated with something else, period, end of story. And probably the most obvious and most prevalent integration point between CRM is bring it into my email. The tool that the salesperson is using day in, day out, that the customer service person is using day out, is their email. And so we integrate with Outlook 365 and with Gmail, and we bring the whole user experience into that application so that you can be interacting with your CRM almost the entire day without opening the CRM app. You're just in Outlook or in Gmail, and you're interacting with your CRM application there. In fact, we're doing a whole world of innovation around that to make it even more powerful, but easy at the same time from that perspective. However, the second most common integration with any CRM system is with the ERP system. In fact, I'm looking over your shoulder right now, and I'm seeing that ERP integration for CRM. That's a hot topic. Yeah. You need to integrate the front office with the back office. You need to make it simple for a salesperson to close a deal out and place an order on behalf of the customer, or even just push the order entry directly in front of the customer, and then being able to see inside of the application that the salesperson is using, the CRM app, and see that the order has been successfully placed, that the invoice has been sent, that the invoice has been paid, all that kind of financial transactional integration with your ERP system is critical for salespeople to be able to have an effective relationship with their customer, the data, knowing what's actually happening around the transaction. And so every one of our customers is doing that. Now, you ask the question, how do we evaluate that software? It starts with the APIs, right? Software's got to have the right APIs, got to have a modern API framework. API stands for, of course, Application Programming Interface. That's the point where two systems are able to talk to each other and share data. So these systems need to have those interfaces. And frankly, there's some legacy ERP systems out there that make it kind of hard to integrate with because they don't have modern APIs. And this is where a company like Commercient comes in, and you guys have done a fantastic job of simplifying that and making it look like all these legacy applications that might not have modern APIs, make it look like they have modern APIs. So we appreciate that, absolutely. And then, I think we look for a couple steps beyond on the technology side, just to make sure that everything's robust and able to handle all the different data types, but pop it up a level. It's not just about having the right interface points between applications, right? Being able to plug A into B. It's about delivering a service in the end. And this is, frankly speaking, one of the reasons what I really appreciate working with Commercient is you take all of that technology complexity and you deliver an easy answer to the end customer, which is, we'll solve it all for you. Don't worry about it. We'll get your two systems plugged in together. We'll get the data flowing between the two systems. We'll do that initial bulk data upload, and it'll just be easy. And I think that's ultimately what I'm looking for in every software application, whether it's an end user app that sits in front of a mere mortal, right? Or it's a background middleware that's designed to connect two pieces of software together. I'm looking for easy, right? And I think that's probably the most important thing to evaluate across the board is easy trumps complexity every single day.
Yeah, and I was watching an interview that you did, and you said, don't overcomplicate things just because you can. And it made me immediately think, years ago, I was reviewing a DSLR, and then they said, hey, we got this new one. And the company sent me it, and they're like, it's got more of this, more of that. And I fired it up, and I understand menus. I understand this and that. It took me so long to get through, to get the image that I wanted, that I was like, can
And
I
you
go
might
back
use
to?
that one option once, right?
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
hard to get to that you probably won't try and do it a second time. Yeah.
yeah. I have a friend. He calls it when they put out any kind of new technology. It doesn't matter if it's hot new update for Office or a new camera or something like that. He says when they put too much in there, but it really isn't. He calls it, back in the day, putting fins on the car to try to sell the same car, and all it does is, in my opinion, it can overcomplicate, or it just adds more bulk and
Just because
more.
you can doesn't mean you should,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
That's and I've got a couple things. I've actually got a blog article called "The 9 Steps to CRM to a Successful CRM Go Live,"
Oh,
and in there talked very little bit about technology, very little, and what I talk about is essentially change management, right? I think we live in a world today where technology is not that hard to stand up and make it work. There was a time and a place where integrating CRM to ERP was really a complex task that only some of the smartest people on the world could actually make happen. But companies like Commercient have made it straightforward, made it easy, right? The hard part is getting people to do things different, getting salespeople to not go to the ERP system any longer to look up a customer record, but to stay in the CRM system that they're already in, scroll down a bit and open the tab that includes the ERP information. Mm-hmm. Getting humans to change their patterns, their workflows is really hard to do. So, it's like start small, think big, move quickly, right? Start small. Take a bite-sized chunk out of a project, but have a vision for all the things you're looking to accomplish, and then measure success based upon how quickly you can work your way to each next step in the project. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's pretty straightforward. Imagine you design a CRM screen that has 100 required fields. You can do that with Sugar. You can do that with any CRM system. Every field on the screen required. Who's going to use that screen, right? It doesn't make sense. Getting that executive buy-in, that leadership to your CRM initiative is critical, right? If the CEO doesn't think it's important, then sales leadership doesn't think it's important, and then if sales leadership doesn't think it's important, the salespeople don't think it's important. But if the CEO of the company is saying, this is how we're going to modernize our engagement with our customers, and we're going to embrace digital transformation so that we can be an easier company to work with, and this is a key initiative, well, suddenly people line up behind that, right? And those are all key principles, and I've got several more listed in that blog article that are all about change management. They're not about technology, right? And that's I think the exciting world that we live in right now, is that we've been able to simplify so much of this that we can focus on driving business outcomes. Because again, here's probably another one of my statements that I like to say the most. People don't actually want to buy software. They don't want, no one's saying, ooh, I can't wait to go buy some software today. They're saying, I need to solve this problem. I got a real issue in my business, right? I'm not close enough to my customers. I don't have my every time a customer calls us up and wants to talk to us or engages us through the website, they get bounced around 6 different data silos, and it's confusing. I want the experience my customers to have. I want the experience that my employees have to be streamlined and easy and effective and efficient, and I want it to frankly put a bit of a smile on their face. Those are outcomes. That's what companies really want. Software is the step to get there. And so we need to stay focused on the outcomes, that putting the smile on the face. That's the type of thing that a user experience designer is thinking about when they help you put the right polish on your application that you're designing. Those are the things that we think about every day, is how to deliver that optimal experience at the end, that at the very least is just easy and satisfying, but frankly, hopefully it goes above and beyond and actually helps you unlock business growth in a way that you weren't able to think about it before. Those are the outcomes that we're looking to enable, that we're talking to our customers about.
Awesome. Clint, this has been amazing, and I'd love to have you back because there's so much more we can discuss.
Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again for your time today.
My pleasure, Heath. You have a great day.
You too. Thank you for tuning in to SYNCcast powered by Commercient. Learn more about ERP and CRM integration with Commercient SYNC by logging on to commercient.com.